I'm telling you, I'm never free of stress. Just thought I'd show you where I'm going to be working at. Finally got drywall and cabinet ply, and I have a story that I'll share. It's so crammed in here, but it's okay. I'll get it done. Get this walled off, but just to show you. And I have out there the garage supplies were delivered today, so they said maybe over the weekend and the beginning of next week we'll have the framing up and ready to go. So here goes nothing. We're officially done with sheets as walls, and I wanted to show you something. Do you see that there? It was late last night, and I was like, I just want to get one wall done, and it'll feel really good after all that I just went through. I'll explain that in a minute. But let me flip the camera. You notice the panel is on the other side. I knew I was going to do this. When you've got to cut shapes, I was going to flip the cut because I flipped the board, and I wasn't thinking. But thankfully, it worked on the other side, so all I have to do is do this one here, and then I'll be working on the inside. Happy to say we're officially done with those sheets and be walling this in, finishing up doing the closet. And then as far as the other side of the wall goes, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that right yet because I've got a drop ceiling and I want these panels to go up because I'm going to take out the drop ceiling. I don't think I'm going to do that just yet. Not that that's a hard, taking down drop ceilings is a pain. I've done it before. If you can see outside, they're ready to build. Got my trusses and stuff out there ready to go. The garage should be done this next week, and then they'll pour the concrete in the driveway, and then I'll be able to have the electrical done. So just a bunch on my plate, right, Leela? Are you worried? All right, I wanted to give you a rundown of that story. I'm a planner. I like to have my ducks in a row, and I get stressed out when I don't have it. Not that it doesn't work the same way that I want, but I'm a planner. Okay. So I scheduled a moving truck that they let you rent here at the local Home Depot. So I'm going to say a few things and then follow up with what happened. Scheduled it for an hour because I don't live far away, and I knew it wouldn't take long to unload the drywall and the cabinet grade plywood that I needed to get, plus some topping joint compound and the other stuff needed anyway. And we get there, my son and I get there early because we thought we want to have it purchased and ready so that when I get the truck, I don't waste a minute in loading and all that and checking out. And I'm going to try to shorten this. So I was like, okay, we're done early. I went over to the service desk. I said, is there any chance I can go ahead and get the truck? And they said, well, no, we can't do that because somehow your reservation's gone. And I was like, what? I just, whatever, you know. And they said they will check into it. And so I said, should I go ahead and pay for my things? Because I didn't want my purchased items sitting around. And they said, yeah, sure, go do that. So I went and paid. And he went and took it outside. I didn't know he went outside. I told him to wait because it was like 15 degrees out when we were there, blustery. And he's got a cold and didn't feel good. So I go back to the service desk. They're like, we're sorry, the guy who brought the truck back last night, had it last, did not leave the keys or something. They couldn't find the keys. Called the manager, did this, that, and the other. We're waiting. So I go and I find that my son's standing outside. And I was like, I told you to wait in the entry, but misunderstood. So had to come in. And long story short, they called the guy who had the truck. And it turns out he took the keys. Said he showed up at 9:05, you know, the store closes at 9, and gave him a story, and and they said, could you possibly bring in the keys today? And I was like, what do you mean today? What about in the next 10 minutes? I'm here waiting, I paid, I'm ready to go. I asked about delivery, could they give me a delivery since they, you know, messed up with the truck, not them, but the guy. Anyway, I know it wasn't any of the associates' fault or anything like that, but they did their best, and so they're like, well, we can call you when it's available. So we stood around for a little bit because I had no idea when he was coming in. Went outside then and sat in my vehicle because it's cold, warm up a bit, and then I decided to head home. And then I'm almost to my door, and they call and say he came in. Okay, so also, the meantime, my other kids are at home, and I said, hey, if the builders show up, you got to go out there and tell them that I'm bringing a truck home and going to need to back in my driveway and unload because I'm not hauling this stuff up the hill. That's the whole point of the truck. And so drive back in, and it takes, I don't know, 20 minutes or so to sign up this paperwork, prove that I can do this. And my daughter says, oh, they're here. Oh, okay. Pressure. So then I get here, the guy is waiting. He needed to offload all the building materials and wasn't sure where to put them, if he even had the right spot. So I get out and I start to unload, and I said I'll be with you in a minute, but then he decided to help me unload, so that's great. Shout out to the Neil company here, I loved working with them. If I had known they were coming, I would have gotten the other stuff from them instead of messing with renting this truck. But anyway, just wanted to give a shout out back to Crystal at Home Depot and her team there, who gave me the truck for free, essentially for my trouble, but I got to have it for that little bitty, I think it only took 30-40 minutes to drive and unload. Got it back, got it going, and we're here. But I'm telling you, I'm never free of stress. That was very, very stressful because I've got a lot of people who are annoyed with me or annoyed with other people as well. But happy to say I'm able to do this. Follow along.
I did want to add, I am not a pro at this by any means, but I do know that some things that I've learned to, sink in your heads for your screws just enough to go below the surface. Consider the floor. I mentioned I'm on a concrete slab, and you also don't want to have joints at the corners and somewhere in the middle. I could have cut up a whole nother panel and wasted essentially, but because of where my 16s were center on center of the studs, I needed to cut a smaller piece and put that there and then finish it off. And I've been having my kids learn as I'm doing as well. But just some basic things. They also say not to have like a gap greater than like 1/8 of an inch, which I knew, so you went, run nice, and then I'll be mudding over the seams and sanding and making a mess. Final frontier, the closet. I did the outside, but I just have the inside to do. It's been a few days, almost about, I think with this day, it'll be a total of 3 days working on this. First time really doing something to this magnitude, and can say I feel good about it. Everything in here is done. I messed up there. I knew that I'd be tired, and I was tired, and I thought, Larissa, just wait till the next time. You need to get some sleep. And no, I did it. I ended up cutting it just off enough, and then I patched. But what I'm going to do is just see how I feel about it. I had bought an extra panel in case of a mess up, so I can always replace it. But anyway, it's going good. I can't really get much room and run in here. All done in, and just need to do the back and sides and overhead. But I wanted to explain something to you.
if you're like me in your late 40s and you're thinking, oh, this is a big job. Well, I do train. I've said before, I lift weights, I run, I walk every day. And I do stretch and do different other training too. And I've also talked about how much the barefoot lifestyle that I've embraced, and not am I barefoot now. What I mean is the style living. These are my Wildlings. They're my work shoes. You can see there's pretty much nothing to them, so I'm essentially barefoot. But I wanted to show you something that when I'm doing a lot of bend over work, because I'm out there working on those panels bent over. I don't have a flat work surface. I don't have any room at the moment. The garage should be put up in a couple of days. Then I gotta wait for concrete to cure and everything anyway. But I'm gonna show you real quick something that I do that helps if, let's say, you're bent over a lot. I've had way better lower back than ever. I mean, even since high school, I used to have lower back issues. I swear it's because I wore just a sliced heel and a tennis shoe, or sometimes a boot. But now I don't have any lower back issues when I'm standing for hours. No issues whatsoever when I'm doing this work. But sometimes you can find this. Okay, hip flexors. If they are getting tight, your lower back will show it. So when you're doing a lot of front bend over work, whether it's on the floor or whatever, craning, you definitely want to use your knees and so on instead of your back. But so your hip flexors, I'm going to back up, and I'm still moving in. I'm waiting for this all to be done so I can build. But it's going to be one of those 6 months where I'm just working my butt off. I'll show you what I mean. Let's take off my gear here. Okay. Hip flexors right here, right? You're gonna stretch them. Give it a good stretch right there, but also what I like to do, I'm going to show you, I'm going to flip the camera down a bit if I can. This stretch really helps strengthen and limber up. You're going to sit at a 90-90, 90 degrees this way, 90 degrees back leg. And you can do this in increments. First start with just lifting and learning how to balance. You can brace yourself even, focus on your back and using your core. But when you get there, you can eventually do this sort of a rep. Little room where I'm facing you now, but you get the idea. Five times each side. When I first started these, I could only hold my leg up for that bit, put it down, and then eventually I was able to do that. And what a relief that is, because the hip flexors, they do get really tight when I'm doing a lot of this sort of thing. And I still don't have any lower back issues. Obviously, I said I also do other things. It's not just this, but one little tip. Yeah, we're done with the drywall, as in hanging the drywall. Now, the messy part comes with the taping, the mudding, sanding, which I'm dreading because it just goes everywhere, but I'm going to try. I have to put the corner on the corners and do all that kind of stuff, but whew, I am tired. But if you also can hear in the background, they are nailing the trusses. I'm excited. The walls are up just this morning. I don't want to go out there and disturb them at the moment, but you can see them getting up there doing, and they're speaking their German or Dutch because it's a Mennonite company here, and that has always been great. I like to go to support them, small business, when I go get materials, but they're about 20-30 minutes away from me, so I tend to go to a local rock store in the meantime. Isn't that a beautiful sound? But it's the Neil company. They're keeping their word, getting this done for me. We've just been really waiting on city to approve permits, but then after this will be, I mentioned before, pouring the concrete and electrical. It is 50 degrees outside right now. What? We went from negative to 50 for maybe a day, and then we're going to go back down to the negatives, but I will take it. It's sunny, gorgeous. Just went on a run with Lula, and she was skip happy, and she completely could outrun me, no problem. But anyway, I hope this encourages you to give projects a try. I'm not saying I've never done drywall before, but I've never done it by myself. I've done it a little bit on paint crew that I worked in college, but honestly, I've never done anything like this with the framing and everything. And I can happily say, I don't say I'm proud of myself because I knew I could do it, but you know what I mean? Like, feels good. All right, I have more to come. Won't bore you with the mud and all that part next, but maybe getting to the paint. So it may be a bit before I come back after, because I try to do this in my quote-unquote free time. When the kids are, for instance, at their dad's for the weekend, I try to do all the drywall so that I wasn't in his way, causing him stress or whatever, and get it done. But then I have other things I have to do, like just regular house care and other projects. I'm doing some more lighting in the works for my daughter's room and my entry area I've been working on when I can do these other things. But then I'm also rebranding from Prodigal Pieces to Living Real with Larissa, and it's a lot of work. I'm trying my best. I thank you all for your support and encourage you to keep leaving those comments. Subscribe to my newsletter. It's free, no strings attached. And just keep showing the love and shares, because it helps me do what I need to do to bring more content to you. All right, until next time.